Hello, Oracles. Oracle Tim here from Oracle Investments. I just want to start off by saying thank you so much. You guys are by far the best subscribers ever. You give me the best feedback. I've really only been pushing this and really focusing on this consistently for the last 2.5, 3 weeks. And you guys have provided me with so much great feedback. I've been able to build this channel, great ideas, really improve myself so quickly because of all your feedback. All of you really embrace all of the different things that I provide. We've got Matt, thank you for appreciating the analogy I made with Disney. Koku, loving the quality content that I'm putting on here. That's great. Bob, Bob asking me, reasonable questions. It's like, hey, I made a video about the Tesla stock split and he's asking, why does it matter? Bob, I appreciate those questions. Even TC challenging me on a few things, I know I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes and I appreciate you guys challenging me on that. And, it helps me improve. The only way I can get better is by you guys making me better. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not perfect. It's going to happen. I do ask two things though. If you are going to do this, do so in a kind manner, whether you're giving me challenging feedback or whether you're having conversations with each other. Keep it nice, keep it clean. That is all I ask for. We'll get to the video now. Today we're going to take a look at Sandy Munro discussing Tesla and more reasons why they are so far ahead of everyone else and why it's just a joke that, people are saying that Hertz isn't good for them or the other legacy auto manufacturers are going to make it. And then he discusses Tesla insurance and how explosive that's going to be.
It's obvious to anybody with a brain that Elon Musk is not a checker player. He is a chess player. And sometimes those pieces of his puzzle or his game are not quite as obvious to everyone as maybe what they should be. Americans in general kind of are checker players. They don't usually look too far ahead and they almost never look at what actions today might be impacting something tomorrow. A good example is the car industry in total. They're reacting. They were not proactive, and so consequently now what they're doing is they're trying to be reactive. Now, a bunch of happens when you get into a reactive mode. And the two things that I need to talk to you a little bit about before I start talking is one, paradigm shifts. Now, Munro and Associates works with a lot of companies, and we don't help our companies catch up or get as good as their competition. Our job is to annihilate their competition. So, we have a hat that we give out every once in a while and sometimes we wear, and it says basically, concerning paradigms, shift happens with Munro. And we're into a paradigm shift, a big one, a huge one, the biggest one that may have been around since the Industrial Revolution. And what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of psychological issues that are going to pop up. And the big one is paradigm paralysis. So paradigm paralysis, if you really want to get into this, you can find a guy named Joel Barker's books. He is, without a question of a doubt, the expert on this sort of stuff. But I've seen it happen over and over and over again. When people with strongly held rules and regulations are confronted by a new situation, in this case the EV kind of world, they are physiologically incapable of getting the job done. They can't see what's going on. They think somehow everything is going to go back to the way it was. And so consequently, they make huge bad decisions.
Now, this is something that we see kind of regularly when there's new technology or huge changes in the way things are done. For instance, if you go back to the 90s, any company that didn't adapt to the internet revolution because they thought, oh, this isn't going to last, it's a fad, we're so comfortable doing things the way that we're doing them, we'll just improve on those instead of changing for the future, they're all gone. How many times have you driven by to see a Circuit City, a Blockbuster, Bradley's or Caldor? Probably dating myself on those, but think about it. You drive around, you don't see those companies anymore because they could not make the change. They didn't see the shift coming, they didn't notice it, and now they are extinct.
The other thing that you need to know about is that's at the top of the house. There's going to be something else that's happening, and that something else is the rise of the Luddites. I said that, quite frankly, this type of a change hasn't happened in a long time. The last time I believe it happened was the Industrial Revolution, when people suddenly found out that machines could take the place of somebody knitting a sweater in a cottage someplace in England. These machines were attacked by the locals because they saw them as some sort of a threat. At the end of the day, we see the same thing happen, or we've seen the same thing happen when you look at just people refusing to use computers and things like that in my era a long time ago. Those people, those Luddites, wound up basically at the side of the road wondering what happened. If you combine the two things, the paradigm paralysis that you're seeing with the auto industry currently, and you compare that, or you add that to the Luddite mentality, and then on top of everything else, you've got you've got the situation where you're thinking like a checker player, but the game is chess. This is where Elon Musk is going to capitalize, or is capitalizing right now, and I'm going to try and fill in the blanks because the news doesn't really tell you everything that's going on.
Sandy here referring to the Luddites, and they're people who fought technology because it was taking away their livelihoods and what they knew, and they were so stubborn they didn't want to change. And so they would go out there and say, these things are bad for your health, or it's not going to be good, and just basically FUD. It was all, fear, uncertainty, and doubt that they were spreading to everyone to scare them away from the inevitable changes that were coming. And we see that now. A lot of the Tesla bears are saying the same thing. We see, FSD FUD going on out there. And sometimes a little conspiracy theorist in me is thinking, how many of these people, could be the Gordon Johnsons, could be the whole Biden administration, not even acknowledging Tesla's existence or bashing, EVs and all the technology that Tesla's got, strictly in a manner because they know that Tesla's so far ahead and they actually know that that's the direction that we're heading, but because they have their pockets filled by someone else, they need to go and pull Tesla back just so that their people can catch up. Let me know in the comments below if you think that conspiracy is backed by any truth.
So with that in mind, I'd like to tell you what everyone knows. Everyone knows that Tesla just sold 100,000 Model 3s to Hertz, and that was a $4.2 billion sale a few days ago. Let's put that into perspective. General Motors has sold about 100,000 Bolts since 2016. That's ponderous. And by the way, some of you may not have heard that. That's 2016. That's 6 years, and they lost about $1 billion on that big deal because of the battery fires. Now, I think that what people need to ask themselves is, what happened just then? What big event just happened? So, in the eyes of Wall Street and the general consumer, GM looks very bad. So the question is, why did Hertz buy Tesla? And why would they ever make a deal like that? So let's ask ourselves a few questions. One of them is, what's the 5 major expenses of owning a vehicle, regardless of whether you're Hertz or yourself? Car payments is the number 1. Number 2 is vehicle depreciation. The minute you drive it off the lot, it's worth less. Fuel or energy costs, insurance with personal injury protection, and maintenance of the vehicle. Those are the 5 big things. But guess what? When you buy a Model S like we did, we bought it in March of 2021 for $45,000, and now it's selling for $53,000 to $58,000. If you bought a 2021 Chevy Bolt, it would have cost you $37,000, but now you can sell it for $23,000 to $26,000. That's how you see things depreciating.
Now, this is something that's crazy to think about. Most cars that the general public buys, they depreciate in value the moment you drive them off the lot. That's just how it's always worked. And now with EVs and Teslas coming around, we see Teslas not depreciating at all. Usually that is saved for luxury vehicles, high-class vehicles that don't depreciate, or they're never driven, and so they go up in value because they're collector's editions. These are Teslas that are just normal, everyday vehicles for you and I, and they're going up in value when they leave the lot over the years. And then you think, well, is it all EVs that are doing this because of all the things that Sandy just mentioned? And no, it's only Teslas. All of the other EVs are still depreciating in value like normal vehicles would.
When we look at all of the different things that were on this list, like let's talk about fuel and energy costs. It's cheaper to to run an electric car on fuel. I'm going to talk about the insurance last, and then maintenance. Maintenance is next to zero. Now, I got a report from some jamokes, I don't know who they got paid by, but they're saying that there's a $500 increase in maintenance if you happen to have an electric vehicle. I don't know who paid these guys off, like I said, but that is totally incorrect. We have paid nothing on our electric vehicle, zero maintenance. I have no clue who these characters are, but they don't know anything about an electric vehicle.
If you guys don't follow Sandy, I highly recommend it. He's a guy who's been in this business for a very long time, and he does not give a hoot what he says. He will call people out on their BS all day long, and he's not going to hold punches. He is straight to it, and he's just great to listen to.
The last one is insurance and personal injury protection. That's going to be, I'm saving that right for the very end, because that is going to be the ultimate cash cow for Tesla. So let's talk a little bit more about this on this little event that happened with Hertz. It wasn't big news, but on Thursday, yesterday, Hertz announced that they may be buying an additional 100,000 vehicles in response to the general public and Uber's responses. This is where checker players don't quite understand what's going on. This deal, 200,000 vehicles sold, is at a price that's unheard of. These aren't discounted. They're the real Model 3 prices. This means that Tesla is going to make a tremendous amount of money, but why would Hertz pay a thing? Because, as John McElroy said on Autoline Detroit, the Tesla deal with Hertz is a huge embarrassment for the traditional automakers. The paradigm is changing so significantly that the guys in marketing and sales for all the other OEMs are probably having a heart attack or at least wondering what the future is going to hold for them. So what are the strong points in this deal that aren't quite as obvious? Well, let's do the obvious ones first. Hertz is golden in the eyes of rental car companies now. I may even start using them. I stopped using Hertz a long time ago because, quite frankly, their service was terrible and on. And that's why they went bankrupt. When the cars get old, they're going to be selling those vehicles through Carvana. Now, what's good about that is that there's no more selling at a discount. So they usually buy at a discount and sell at a discount, and in between they try and make money. Well, Uber is the one area that they're going to make a huge amount of money. And actually, I think that Uber is going to be the biggest beneficiary of the deal. With 50,000 Model 3s, I believe they're going to be getting 100,000 Model 3s now. of the Hertz fleet, they're going to be able to rent to Uber. Hertz is. They're going to be able to rent to Uber. The guys at Uber are going to get a cash flow as good as it can be. So what? I mean, really, what does that mean? It means that Uber can get more rides for its drivers because of the status associated in driving a clean, quiet, luxury Tesla. If Uber buys the cars, they'll need to pay significant taxes, and the drivers now become employees, which counters the whole philosophy behind their business model. But guess what? They aren't. So that means that they're going to put more money in their pocket and less taxes will be paid to everybody else. The drivers get a better deal on the cost of the maintenance, the fuel, and they get a kickback from Uber just because they're using Teslas. Now they don't have to pay for all the maintenance and all the other things that are going on with a conventional vehicle.
Sandy here is really just getting into the nitty-gritty details as to just exactly why and how this is so important that Hertz has gone this route to bring on the Teslas. And, you know, all the little pieces as to why this is going to just be the huge starting foundation for the takeoff of Tesla going forward.
What's the hidden advantages? Well, this proves that no Detroit 3 could consummate this kind of a deal. So the hidden problem here is that if let's say one of the other car companies or one of the other rental companies came along and said, hey, we want 100,000 vehicles, who could supply them? Nobody. And how long would it take? Forever. Hertz goes from a bankrupt write-off to the top of the heap. And that's because of Tesla. Tesla did that. By adding their name, they went to the moon in overnight. Consumers, this is another one that people don't quite get. The way to make sales is to get bums on seats. You have to get somebody in the car to try it out, to make it so that you can feel comfortable with it. And now, consumers get to drive Teslas with no buyer's remorse and no risk. They get in, they can drive it around, they can try it out. It's the absolute best way to sell cars. And it used to be a big deal for all the other auto companies. In fact, most of the auto companies, Hertz used to be owned by Ford. But they gave it up because they couldn't see value. They couldn't see the profit in it right away. But it used to be that's how you got bums on seats.
Several of you had mentioned this in the comments during my Hertz video. It's the butts in the seats. That is what is going to sell Teslas. Realistically, think about it. Tesla doesn't advertise. They don't. They don't need to. They have a product that sells itself, and they get the best advertisement ever, which is word of mouth. And now they have Hertz, who's basically advertising for them and allowing more people to get their butts in seats to see these Teslas that will sell themselves.
The bums on seats philosophy says that it's 50% of the sale if you can get them to sit in your car. But the one that I thought was the best, and we'll play the little clip, is Tom Brady. The Tom Brady play, I'm calling it. People buy cars based on heroes. And most people have heard of football, and Brady is big on saving the planet. He owns a Model S. What did Tom Brady say? I've been driving an EV for years, and knowing Hertz is leading the way with their electric fleet sparks how the world's changing toward environmental and socially consciousness. That's a big deal. People care about what Tom Brady says. And here's the deal. Perception's reality. If Tom Brady's driving one, then I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be a tremendous number of people that are going to want to buy their vehicle.
Brace yourselves. Sandy is about to unleash the reality behind what is going to be happening in the future.
Tesla is going into the insurance business. Now, that was the one that I didn't want to talk about at the end because this is the biggest deal around. This is the one where almost nothing is talked about, but this is huge, huge, not only for Tesla, but for the whole car industry. Tesla going into, we look at profits in car industries and like single digits. Insurance companies, they 30-40% profits. I mean, they're huge. And Tesla's going into that business. This is going to be a fair and equitable system based on your driving, not some actuary's analysis of the general population. It's based on your driving month to month, and it doesn't factor in age, credit score, gender, marital status, or claims on history. You become a clean sheet every time you buy their insurance policy and basically drive a Tesla. If your score is high, your premium will be low. High as in you're a good driver. The sample range is shown on the slide below, and you can see that this indicates the driver could pay as high as $130 a month in April, but his rate is down to $83 because he's started to, do a better job driving. This eliminates the arbitrary young driver, old driver penalty. So this is how you can train people to be better drivers and bankrupt bad drivers. Get them to walk or get them to go somewhere else. Maybe they'll take Ubers. I don't know, but I'm really excited about getting rid of bad drivers.
Elon has always said that Tesla's #1 concern is safety. And he's not just talking about cars. They have such a deep-rooted system that they're going to create with insurance that aren't just creating safer cars, they're literally creating safer drivers. It doesn't get much safer than this. So if anybody's out there bashing Tesla for their safety, like they're literally going to the next level to focus on safety, and they're making safer drivers.
The rates that are already out there are 20 to 60% cheaper than traditional companies. And now some predictive news. Okay, so yesterday I was told that we can't get insurance on our building because we have batteries in it. What happens when you have a battery-powered vehicle in your garage? You're next. The insurance companies won't touch you, but I'll bet you right now, Tesla's got a bunch of people working on how they're going to go into the commercial and homeowners insurance. I guarantee you that Tesla is going to be rolling in dough that the other car companies couldn't even think of or will never think of.
Mind blown. You know, I get that insurance is hard to get into. Elon had said it's very difficult. You have to go state by state and all the regulations. Seems like they make it impossible just to get into it. But if none of these insurance companies are going to insure people based upon batteries, I'm sure they will change in the future, but that's a door that's wide open for Tesla to get into. So not only are they going to provide car insurance, they're going to provide all insurance. Talk about vertical integration and encompassing everything. That's nuts.
So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. I'm going to be doing a couple of other episodes. One is going to be the impact that the Chinese are going to have on the US car market and how quickly I think it's going to happen. And the next one is going to be on which car companies will survive and which ones will die. And I will be bringing those up in a little while.
I will most definitely be following those next two videos he posts, because that's actually one of the questions we've posed on here is, you know, which one of the legacy automakers is going to die first? That's a big question. So I would love to hear Sandy's feedback, because he clearly has significantly more experience in this field than I do. So to get his opinion on it would be great. So I will definitely get that and share that with you guys. Thank you all so much for this. I know this was a longer video, but when Sandy talks, I listen. Sandy is so experienced, so knowledgeable, and I value his opinion. He's an extremely straight shooter. He is paid off by no one. So if Tesla has a problem, you could go back in history when those Teslas started coming out with panel gap issues. Sandy was there to call him out on it. Sandy's not going to pull punches. He's going to tell you like it is. And that's what I love about him, which is why when Sandy talks like this, I'm going to listen because he's shooting straight and he knows what's going on. Thank you all for being here again. I appreciate you so much. If you have not subscribed and would like to do so, please do so now down below. If you like content like this, sign yourself up for notifications so you could see more in the future. Otherwise, I will see you all later. Thank you for being awesome.